how exactly should one go about then doing that, Mr. Mathpal? So, for example, let's say if I get maybe a salary of 50,000 rupees per month, it could get very difficult to be able to live with that. How do you essentially divvy up between investing, saving, and spending?
Where one has to understand difference between needs and wants. See, there are some essential expenses which you cannot avoid. For example, if it is your EMI, children's school fees, or house rent, or uh, home loan like EMI, etc., or your utility bills, which you cannot avoid. So definitely you have to keep money for that. And when you make your budget, you definitely plan for those things. But what happens when you do not write your budget, or you do not have your financial goals in writing? So most of the time what happens that you do not understand difference between the essential expenses or your non-discretionary expenses. And that is why it always happens that whatever money you earn, you spend that. So first thing, if you write your budget, you will know that whatever the essential expenses that you have to keep aside. And after that, for your wants, for example, you want to buy some gadget or something, or you want to go out, or whatever it is, for those things is only after you save your money for future goals. Now, there's a formula called 30-20, 50-30-20, where usually it is said that 50% money should be kept for, should be spent for essential expenses, and 20% savings, and 30% for your wants. But in India, because we do not have social security, I will say that one should plan to save minimum 30 to 40%. Again, it will depend on your personal situation. But in most of the cases, my advice will be that one should plan to save minimum 30% of monthly income. And then whatever the left, your loan, etc., you have to pay. And see, 20 means 50% definitely you will need for your essential expenses. 30% I'm advising to save. So 20%, what I suggest that you should keep for your other things which are not so important and you want to spend.
Okay, Mr. Mathpal, I'm going to ask you this question because the definition of essential expenses differs for a lot of people. What would you classify as essential expenses, and do debt obligations as well come under this?
Yeah. See, first thing, debt obligation, I'll say that one should not get debt trapped, or your loan or your debt should be within your limit, means how much you can repay easily. So which should be part of essential expenses only. So when I said like home loan, so if you have home loan, definitely it means you will not pay rent. Or if you are paying rent, it does not, it means that you do not have home loan. It may be in some cases where people have additional house, which may be like investment. But in otherwise, I'll say that if you have a home loan, it means you're not paying rent. Or if you're paying rent, then you do not have home loan. So that is essential expense. Now, other than this, as I mentioned earlier as well, some expenses like your grocery, etc., which we know we cannot avoid, that one has to buy vegetables, grocery, utility bills, your electricity bill, phone bill, your internet bill. These things are essential expenses. One cannot avoid it. But most of time, expenses are not limited to this. Expenses are like you want to go out, you want to buy gadgets, you want to spend with your friends. So there are many other expenses which can be reduced. I'm not saying that you can stop it, but definitely if you plan properly, if you have discipline, you can definitely curtail those expenses. And you'll have to. If you want to live a disciplined life, you want to create wealth for future, in such case, not so necessary expenses, you'll have to keep in control. So that is a basic definition of essential expenses, which cannot be avoided. But in that also, you have to understand that what's your limit to spend that, and write your budget. See, most important, most of the time, people do not write their budget, and that is why it happens that they can't save money. Once you start writing your household budget, it is very easy to plan for future goals and to save money.